Why'd you steal the sign? Can you move your hat out of your face? Are you a
to the
student here?
show.
Are you a student here?
We are temporarily being disrupted by a stolen.
You won't be for long. Are you a liberal?
Yeah.
Let's talk.
All right.
Okay, step up to the mic.
Hello.
What's up? Do you agree with this sign right here?
Yeah, I disagree with that one. Do you have any other signs?
Yeah, men can't be women right over there.
Let's talk about that one.
Okay, step right up. Make sure everyone can hear you.
Hello.
Yep. You might want to get a little closer, but
Okay,
kind of got
can you hear
the
me?
mic, unfortunately. Yeah, can hear you.
All right. So, men can't be women.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean that men can't be women.
Okay, what's a man?
Yeah, a man is defined as an adult human female. Or sorry, an adult human male. A man is a man is defined as an adult human male.
Okay. What do you mean by male?
Yeah, so male is defined as a person who falls into the sexual category capable of producing sperm.
Gotcha.
The
And I
Oxford.
assume that a woman would then be an adult human female.
An adult human
being somebody
female.
who
A
produces
female
eggs.
is somebody who falls in the sexual category capable of producing ova.
Gotcha. We can get into like what capable is, but I think an important distinction to make, because I assume you're anti-trans rights as well, if that's what you mean by that.
What do you mean by trans rights?
So like that people should be recognized as what they identify as.
I'm not against people being allowed to be recognized as what they want to be. I'm against me being forced to recognize what they want to be.
Okay. Would you recognize someone who claims to be a man
No.
who isn't? Okay. Who isn't a male? You would say no.
No, because I don't lie to people.
Okay. What makes it a lie?
Because it's not true. Because
what's not true?
a man, an adult human male, pretending to be an adult human female, they're not an adult human female, right? They can't produce ova. They don't fall into the sexual category capable of producing ova. Therefore, they're not a
Right.
female and they're not a woman.
Okay.
So they're a man. So I would not call them a woman because
Okay.
that would be lying. And I also don't believe in feeding people's mental illnesses. So I don't tell schizophrenic people the voices in their head should be followed. I also don't tell bulimic or anorexic women that they're actually fat and give them dietary plans.
Okay. Do you think when a trans woman says I'm a woman, she's talking about being a biological female?
From what I've understood from talking to many trans people, especially on the West Coast, which is where I'm from, yes, they believe that they are the same as a woman. They believe that they should be accepted in all of the same spaces. They believe that they should be looked at the same.
Okay, well, looked at the same, accepted in the same spaces are two different claims from what you were saying, which is that they would be able to produce an ovum. Do you
Being
think
the
that's
same and being looked at the same. So if you expect me to look at you the same, that would mean that you'd have to be the same. I'm not going to look at you as something that you're not. You're a human being. I'm not looking at you as a dog.
Gotcha.
Right?
Do you mind it if I hold you to the same standard that you previously said in the
Absolutely.
debate? Okay, so to be a woman then would be someone who makes or is capable of making ovum.
Nope. Falls into the sexual category capable of producing ova. So
Sure.
women as a sex can produce ova. There might be outliers in that situation, but the outliers still fall into the sexual category capable of producing ova.
Gotcha. Do you think trans women are claiming they fit into that category?
They're claiming that they're
people
women, and
capable
that's the definition of women.
Right. Do you think it's impossible that they just have a different definition of woman?
Well, this is the Oxford definition. So if you say
It's an
if you
Oxford
say you're a
definition.
woman, but
There's
you mean
multiple
you're
now Oxford
pause.
dictionary, right?
If I say I'm a man, but when I say I'm a man, I actually mean I'm a tree. Right? You see the problem there? These words mean things. The Oxford definition of a woman is an adult human female. The Oxford definition of a female is a person who falls into the sexual category capable of producing ova. Men cannot be women.
Sure, I can understand that there can be differences in definitions between two people. Do you accept that?
It's possible.
Okay. So why is it that you're making the claim that there isn't a difference in definitions?
Because they're not qualifying what they mean when they say woman. They're simply saying, I am a woman as it means to you. You must refer to me as a woman.
I don't think anyone's making the claim that regardless of what your definition of woman is, they are a woman.
Wait. So are they saying, I'm a woman, but when I say woman, I actually mean something completely different than you? Or are they saying, I am a woman, and you must refer to me as such as you would refer to any other woman under your definition?
I would say...
Their private spaces, right? They're
Yeah,
not just
those
claiming
are
that I'm
irrelevant
a woman.
to
How's that irrelevant? Your definition of what a woman is, or somebody else's
I haven't
definition
given
of
a
what a woman is,
definition.
has policy impact, right? It impacts policy. That's things like restrooms, things like private lockers, things like college campuses, right? So your definition, you're just saying, oh, they're just identified as women. That actually has an impact on public policy, and that's a problem that we have.
Which is based on objective definition.
I haven't given a definition, so I don't know how you're
How do you
disagreeing with my
define a woman?
definition.
How do you define a woman?
I haven't done that yet.
Okay, so define it.
That's not important to the conversation.
It
that we're
absolutely
having,
is important to the
because you're the one who
conversation. You're
provided the
saying that
definitions.
some people
I
have
wanna
different
argue on your
definitions of
definitions.
woman, so what is your definition of woman?
I wanted to argue on your definition.
What is yours?
What is a woman?
I think that a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman.
Okay, so okay, wait. So can I can expression is reality.
No.
So So hold up. So you think a woman? First of all, circular definition. You think a woman
That's
is
not
anyone who
circular.
identifies as a woman, which would mean that you think that expression is reality. If you express
No.
yourself as something, you are that thing.
Well, what makes the woman a woman just because they are claiming to be a woman?
I think it's an internal sense of self that I don't have direct access to,
If
so I have
my
to
inter-
believe them about what they're claiming.
So perception is reality.
No.
If my internal sense of self tells me that I'm a black man, is it true?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, really? So I can be a black man. Can I say the N-word?
What do you mean by black man?
I am a black man. Can I say the N-word?
What do you mean by black man?
He identifies.
I am a black man. My skin
I
is
am
brown.
asking
Can
you
see
what
it?
you mean by black man.
Well-
In the same way that someone like Matt Walsh might ask someone,
Right.
what is a woman?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking you, what is a
Well,
black man?
A black man is defined as a person with brown skin, I believe. Am I a black man? I identify as one.
I mean, your skin's brown. It's a shade of brown,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So I'm black. Can I say the N-word?
I'm not going to stop you.
Okay,
Go for
would
it.
it be
Go for
socially acceptable for me to do that?
I probably wouldn't do it if I were you. But
Okay, great. Why is that?
You're allowed to.
Okay, but we can allow women. So the N-word is like a black
Why
person.
do you keep saying N-word
Pause,
and
let
not,
me
and
land
not
my
saying
plane.
the word?
Let me
Are you
land my
afraid?
plane. The black word, the N-word, is a word that is exclusive to black people, right? White people generally, in social circumstances, cannot say this word, right? Just like women's bathrooms, in most situations, are for women, right? The N-word is for black people. Women's bathrooms are for women. So if you're saying that a man can pretend he's a woman and go into women's bathrooms, I should be able to pretend that I'm a black man and say the N-word.
I'm not saying
I don't
anyone's
think I
pretending.
should, by the way. I don't believe that.
I don't think anyone's pretending in that way.
What do you mean? They are pretending. They're putting on dresses, growing out their hair, and pretending they're women. That's exactly what's happening. They're not women.
So to be clear, you're making the claim that they are pretending that they are of the category of people that are capable of creating.
Yeah, like Leah Thomas, for example, who swam on the women's team with women while still having a penis after having just dated somebody on the women's swim team as a man. And breaking every single record in the team.
Okay,
No
she
12 months of hormone suppressing or none of that stuff. Just, hey, I identify as a woman, so now I'm going to compete against women, undress next to women.
didn't she come in 5th place?
Then she win that.
Leah Thomas, I personally have friends who swam at Penn State
Okay.
who know for a fact that Leah Thomas broke every single record at the school on the women's swim team. And
Okay.
no, she didn't come in. She came in. I don't know what place. She won the NCAA championship. Yeah, and snuffed Riley Gaines by like a fraction of a second.
Riley Gaines definitely came in 5th place in that race. I know that
See,
for
the
sure.
whole problem I have is that it's just, you said that because a person says they're a woman, they are now a woman.
No, I believe them that they're a
Cam
woman.
asked you, if he identifies as black, does that make him black, socially acceptable as black to do everything like that? And
Yeah.
you're having trouble with that.
I'm
Why?
really not. I asked him what he meant by a black man, and he really struggled until he said brown skin, and he has brown skin, so that would
You,
make him a
you
black
said
man by
that the
his
definition of a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman. You can't use the word that you're defining in the definition
Why not?
because it's circular.
Why is that a problem?
Because so if you define,
Sorry, why is that a problem?
If you define a word with the word you're defining, we still don't know what the word you're defining is. That's the problem.
Why not? It's in the definition. I gave it to you.
Right. So if the definition of a woman is a woman,
Yeah,
do you understand how we still don't know what a woman is?
it's possible.
Okay.
Depends on what you understand.
Is that all she wrote for that one?
Not necessarily. I'm still waiting for him to understand that there can be a difference between definitions.
I'm kind of curious. You say a woman is a woman, and we're still trying to figure out what is a woman.
That
So
was
maybe
not
you
my
can give us some
definition.
characteristics. Okay, so what is your definition of what is a woman?
A human person who claims to be a woman.
Okay, so can you try to explain to me what is a woman without
They're
saying
claiming
woman?
they fit into the category of people known as women.
You're saying it's a human person who identifies as a woman.
Yep, they
So
claim they
I
fit into
still
the
don't know
category
what a
of
woman
people
is.
known as women.
I still don't know what a woman is.
Do you know what women is as a category?
What are they trying to pretend to be?
They're not pretending to be anything. They're
What are
they're
they?
making
What are
a
they
claim about
identifying
their
as? What are
psychological
they identifying as?
women.
Okay, what is a woman?
A woman is someone who identifies as being in the category of women.
Okay, what is that category? We still don't know what a woman
It's
is.
the category that consists of all people who claim to be in that category.
Okay, so what's the
Is that a
category?
problem?
We still don't know what.
I
woman
already
is.
told you what the category was. It's the category of people who claim to be in that category.
Yeah, we still don't.
Listen.
That's what the definition of the category
I was
is.
trying to figure out what is this water bottle, and you kept telling me
Mm-hmm.
it's a water bottle. We don't go anywhere, right?
Okay.
So explain.
You're supposed to tell me like what does it do? Well, we look at it. Okay, the definition of a water bottle might be a plastic container that holds water.
liquid.
That holds liquid. Yeah. There we go. It's a plastic bottle,
Okay.
or sorry, it's a plastic object that within it contains liquid.
Do you think that women in water bottles might be disanalogous?
No, because we're just defining a word, right? They're just two words we're trying to define. They're not
Yeah.
disanalogous.
Well, one
A woman
might be way more complicated than the other, right?
It's not complicated at all. It's an adult human
okay.
female.
Do you think that's not more complicated than a water bottle?
Okay, the car right there is pretty complicated. There's a lot of components to it. If you explain to me a car is a car, we don't get anywhere, right?
Sure.
There's nothing for
Sorry,
debate.
can you
And it
provide a
almost
definition of a
feels-
car?
Almost feels bad faith in a sense because this
what's the
seems
definition of a car?
Can I just finish my
Yeah,
sentence?
go for it.
It's almost bad faith in a sense because it kind of feels like you know that what you're saying is BS, but you keep saying it because you can't sit here and be serious that you keep telling me that a woman is a woman.
I never said
Right,
that.
like
yeah.
that's not even first grade stuff, right? Even first graders can say, you know, what is a water bottle? They won't say it's a water bottle. That's what I'm getting from you. It's constantly the same thing, and I'm being genuine. I actually want to understand why you think somebody can just identify as a woman, but now I'm understanding it because anybody who acts like a woman can claim to be a woman, right? If they act like a woman, they can be a woman, right?
Sure.
So if I started to act like a woman, am I a woman?
If you claim to be one.
Okay, and then 2 minutes later, I'm gonna walk into that bathroom and use the restroom with women. Is that okay? I look exactly how I do. I just claim to be a woman. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, does that hurt anyone?
This is the biggest problem. Is like it makes women feel unsafe, and I don't think that in women's spaces they should feel unsafe.
So if no women complained about feeling unsafe about this, then would it be fine?
That's exactly the point. I think we should do it based on self-reporting, right? So if you look like David and you walk into the women's bathroom, people are probably going to feel unsafe and report you, right? But if you look just like any other woman and you're passing, which is very rare, it almost never happens, right? Nobody's going to report you. But if you look like David, people are going to feel unsafe and they report you, which will deter people who look like David from walking into the women's bathroom. Because I guess what? David's not a woman.
Kim, how did people find out that Leah Thomas is not a biological woman?
Well, her big, broad shoulders, her penis is probably another big one. Her ability to swim faster than anyone on the women's team is probably another hint. The jawline, the facial structure.
But who cares? She identifies as a woman, or he identifies
You're
as
right.
a woman, so
Yeah, you're
that
right.
makes him a woman, right?
You're right. You're totally right.
That's the problem that I have with that, is that if we're just going to play this game of like Cam saying, I just identify as a black person, that's going to have consequences. When you just simple it down that a biological person is just a woman, that's crazy to me. Like, a woman is a woman, and now I can claim to be a woman, and I can go do exactly what Cam just told you to do. That has impact.
I have a really hard time believing you're not bad faith when you keep using this argument that I said that a woman is a woman when that's never something I said.
You use the word woman in the definition of woman. You
Yeah.
can't do that. It's
Why not?
circular.
Why is-
Because
why is-
because
okay.
you because you
Let's
we still
grant it
don't
for a
know what a
second.
woman is if you've used the word to define it.
Let's grant for a second that it's circular. What's the logical inconsistency with a circular definition?
Yeah, the logical inconsistency is that we still don't know what the word means if you use the word to define the word. That's the
Why?
problem.
Why don't you? It's in the definition.
Again,
It's-
trying to.
Or do you go here?
Yeah, I go here.
Oh, man.
What you're doing is you have decided that
Charlie
circularity.
Kirk was right that
You've-
there's no reason for people to go to colleges. This is UT, and
you've-
this is happening here.
You have decided that circularity in a definition is a problem, but you haven't given an argument that that's the case.
Yes, because if you use the word in the definition of the word, you still don't know what the word means.
Why? It's in the definition.
But we don't know.
That's the point.
Like, a woman is a woman.
Okay.
What is a woman?
You're saying
what's the
it's
problem
anyone.
with circularity?
You're saying the word woman is defined as anyone who identifies as a woman,
As being in
which
the category
doesn't
of women, sure.
explain what a woman is.
Okay, the category that they're
The
in
category.
is woman, women.
Sure.
It's just multiple women.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
It's what does it mean? The category, or what is the definition?
Women.
Of a
What does
woman?
women mean?
What is women?
Yeah.
Like as a category.
Sure.
Okay. Women is a category of people who identify as being in that category.
Okay. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere.
I'm really struggling with understanding what the problem with this category definition is.
Okay. So a table is a table, right? A table is a table. We're never gonna figure out what this is, right? You're just gonna keep telling me that it's a table, and I'm gonna tell you I have no idea what is a table. Can you please explain to me what is a table? And you're gonna say, yeah, a table is a table. And I'm gonna tell you I still don't understand what a table is. And you're gonna tell me what's in a category of tables.
Sure.
So what is a table?
I'm,
What is a table?
hold on, actually,
Can you
this
explain
is,
to me
this
what
is really
is a
important.
table?
Actually, I think I understand where this is going.
Ding ding
Okay.
ding! Finally.
No, I've understood that this is a problem for you. This is really good. Okay. Do you have a
It's not a
definition
problem
of table?
for me to tell you what is a woman.
Do you have
You're
a
the one that
definition
tell
of
me a
table?
woman is a
Yeah, I
woman.
can give you
Do
a
you have a
definition of a
definition of
table
table?
right now. A table is generally going to be something that is flat.
Generally?
You put things on, and it has. You can just ignore generally. A table is something that is flat. You put things on it, and it has 4 legs typically.
Okay. Typically.
Typically is in the definition of a lot of words.
Okay. Do you think that women typically exhibit any individual trait?
I think that typically women fall into the sexual category capable of producing ova, and it's not just typically; it's always.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's always, then that's a different thing from typically. I thought you were addressing
Always,
something
yeah. I
that's
said typically sarcastically.
Okay, so a table, is that always or is that typically with 4 legs?
Typically with 4 legs.
Okay, typically with 4 legs. Okay, if nothing is sitting on a thing, is it not a table? Because that was part of your definition. Is it something that things are
Something
sat
that
on?
is intended to put things on. That's what I said.
Okay,
Why the mental gymnastics? Can I ask?
I'm struggling because that would make it like a chair usually with 4 legs, also a table, right?
Put things on a chair. That's not the purpose of a chair. The purpose of a chair is to sit in.
You never put things on chairs?
That's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to sit on it.
Okay, well, are you an object
I
that could be put on a
right,
chair?
but nobody puts me on a chair. I put myself on
You
a
put,
chair.
yeah, well, okay,
You're-
now
why
you're
are you doing
contradicting
the
yourself.
mental
You put
gymnastics?
yourself
So
on a chair.
ridiculous. You're jumping through all of these hoops
My
because
po-
you can't
my-
define
my
a woman,
point-
and you think that men, big
no.
burly bearded men, should be allowed
No.
to like go into women's spaces.
My point is that maybe definitions are a little bit complicated, and the only actual definition of a table that encompasses all tables and nothing else is the things that fit into the category known as tables.
Wait. If you start using a chair as a table, it's a table.
Okay? So if a biological male starts identifying as a woman, that's a woman?
No, because that's not the definition of a table.
No, you just said that a
the
chair can
definition
become
I
a table
gave
if you
was
start treating it as a
typically,
table.
but the definition of a woman is much more firm. An adult human female,
What?
the definition of female is a person who falls into the sexual category capable of producing ova.
What makes that
Men
definition
cannot
much
fall
more
into
firm?
that category.
What makes that definition much more firm? What's the argument that it's more firm than the definition
Adult
of a table?
human female, right?
What makes that
can't-
more
you
firm?
Can't, you can't
I've
become,
heard that before.
You gotta let me finish.
I mean, I can.
You cannot fall into the sexual category of the sex that produces ova based on your choice. That is something you are born with.
Sure.
I'm positive men cannot produce ova.
Okay. I accept
Men
that.
do not fall into the sexual category capable of producing ova.
Yeah, that's fine.
Therefore, they will never be women.
Well, if they use your definition of a woman,
Find the hole.
do you have an argument that other definitions of woman should never be used?
I'm still curious. Do you think that woman is simplified down to just what a person feels like? So if they feel feminine that day, they are a woman?
No.
So we're still having a hard time of understanding what is the category of women. Can we get an explanation of characteristics that are aligned with
Sure.
that?
So let's imagine there's a group of people. Are we good there, or is that a problem already? Okay. All of these people claim to be women. If I were to define women in this universe, disregarding everything else, if in this universe I said all of these people that claim to be women, we will allow them to identify as such. Everyone else is not a woman. Is that okay?
No, because if I'm going to walk around and saying I am black and you're going to affirm that I'm black, that is not going to suddenly
Okay.
make me black,
What if I said
right?
that black and women are disanalogous, that black might have other connotations that we wouldn't allow people to identify in this way?
Totally not true. Black is like being racial categories are actually more of a spectrum than gender.
Yeah, I agree. But you define black as having brown skin. I assume you mean darker brown than your skin.
Darker brown skin. Yeah,
Okay.
sure, whatever.
Yeah. So if that's what we're using is black and not like racial like categories, we're just talking about skin color. then
You
that's
know what a
that's
black
different.
person is.
I mean, it depends on if you're talking about just based on
How
skin
about this?
color
How about
or
this?
based
How about
on
this?
like
How about this?
racial
Can I be a
culture
lizard?
or whatever.
I identify as a lizard. Can I be a lizard?
I mean, that depends on what you mean by a lizard, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. A lizard is a small reptile with
Yeah.
a tail, 4 legs, a head, and a gizzard. Can
I'm
I
gonna
be
say
one?
no. You're not a lizard. No.
Oh, why can't I be a lizard? I identify as falling into that category.
I think that's disanalogous to the category
Why
of
is it
women.
disanalogous?
Because lizards
My species
are
is part of my identity.
Sure.
Why can't I be a lizard?
Sure.
I
mean,
identify as one.
If you claim to be a lizard and it causes you distress, if people treat you as anything other than a lizard, I'm okay with you identifying as a lizard.
Should you respect me being called a lizard?
Yeah, if it hurts you otherwise.
Okay. Should everyone respect me being a lizard?
Yeah, I think we want to live in a world where people respect one another.
Should people be fired from their jobs for not calling me a lizard?
Probably not, no.
Oh, but they should be. Do you think they should be fired from their jobs for not respecting pronouns?
Probably not, no.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Perfect.
Okay.
So what is your contention here? Because we're not advocating for anything other than just that men are not women. Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to ban any sort.
We're not
Actually,
saying that
I
they
would.
can be this. They can't. We're not saying that they can't be this or that they can't identify as that. It's just I'm not gonna play in their delusion And I'm certainly not going to go to the workplace or change public policies in order to fit their definitions of that because it has consequences. Again, the bathroom, the college sports are perfect examples of how I don't say you, but people saying that woman is just a woman is impacting everyone's life.
So when I identify as a lizard and you respect me as a lizard, are you lying?
Maybe.
That's a good question.
I might be. Because I think that lizard and woman are different categories. I think that might be a lie if I were
But
to
they're
tell you
both
you're a
pieces
lizard.
of identity. What's the
Yeah.
difference between the two that makes you
I think
allowed
gender-
to identify as one and not the
Sure.
other, and one is true and one's not?
Sure, I think gender identity and species identity are two different things.
Why?
Well, like you said, they're two different parts of your identity, right?
They're both parts of the identity.
Yeah. Are they the same thing?
I don't see any meaningful difference that would mean one, you can change one and not the other.
Okay,
If you can change your sex, which is pretty biologically firm, why can't I change my species, which is also biologically firm?
Yeah, I don't think that transgender people are changing their sex.
Definition of a woman is an adult human female. Female is
Yeah.
sex. Female is defined as somebody who falls into the sexual category capable of producing ova. So they are trying to change their sex, right? Sex and gender are the same thing.
There's a reason why you refuse to talk.
Do you think they're trying
why
to-
you refuse to talk about female and we constantly keep talking about women?
I can talk about female. That's
okay,
fine.
let's talk about the biological side.
Okay, well, real quick before we change topics,
Yeah.
are you making the claim that transgender women are trying to produce ovum?
No, they're claiming that they are women, and women are people who are adult human females and fall into the sexual category capable of producing ova. So they are trying to be that. They claim that they are women, and that people must respect them as women when they, in fact, are not women. If I say I identify as a lizard, you should not respect me as a lizard because I'm not a lizard, right?
Okay.
I'm a human.
Okay, so the answer to my question was yes, you think that they are trying to argue that they can produce ovum.
No, they're not arguing that they can produce ova. They're arguing that they're women, and women are people who can produce ova.
They try to remove that, actually. They try to remove the idea that women produce ova. They try to completely remove that idea. That's why you're not talking about that.
What do you mean they tried to remove that idea?
They don't want us to focus on the idea that most biological women can produce ova. They want to
Most?
Huh? Yeah,
Most?
because there are sometimes incidents where biological women can produce ova.
David?
Cam, nice to meet you.
Joshua. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, you kind of have to talk really close into it. It's
Okay.
really sensitive, Mike. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
So I saw your sign that says men can't be women.
Yeah.
And I think it just depends on your definition of a man and a woman. So how do you all define man and woman?
Yeah, I would say woman, according to Oxford, the definition is an adult human female. The definition of female is a person who falls into the sexual category capable of producing ova. And for that reason, I don't believe that men can be women because men cannot produce ova, thus they can't be a female, and thus they can't be a woman.
Okay.
Do you have a definition for a woman, or do you agree with it? Do you have a definition with woman, or do you agree with it?
Do I agree with the Oxford definition? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I personally have a definitive definition,
That's all right.
but I just want to point out that your statement is based on your definition, not necessarily the truth, because we all have our own definitions, and other people might completely disagree with you simply because they have a different definition for man and woman.
Right, but I mean, what color is that tree over there? The leaves.
Green.
Okay, it's green. And if somebody said it was pink, we would just, oh, that's silly, right? It's an objective truth. That tree is green.
Although that's their truth, right? It's their truth that it's pink, right? But it doesn't make it the truth at the end of the day, right?
The truth is that it's green.
Well, I see the analogy that you're trying to make, but
Like,
I mean-
I don't necessarily disagree that I have my truth, you have your truth, right? But we have to figure out a way to be grounded in the truth. Otherwise, like we were talking about this water bottle. Do you agree that's a water bottle?
I do.
Okay, I think that's a lizard. And that's a problem, right? Because when we start to make policy on water bottles, and I think that that's a lizard, that's when we run into problems. Same thing with a woman. I'm not saying that you can't say what is a woman and make it your truth, but at some point we're going to have to create policy by the definitions, right? Or using those definitions. So we can't pretend that definitions are just what you think and I think. It has to be rooted in some sort of objective reality. the point with the woman is like obviously it impacts public policy, like college campuses, locker rooms.
So we can all have our own truths about certain things like the color of leaves or whether or not this is a water bottle. With something like gender, it is a lot more socially constructed. And I do agree with you that there is policy and there's going to be policy made based on those definitions. But
I disagree with you that it's a social construct because at the end of the day, it still depends on your biological drive or your biology.
it depends on what definition you use.
Okay, well, explain to me what is a woman, and we can go from there.
I can't give you the definition for woman.
What is your definition of a woman?
Like I said, I don't really have a definite description, but I do know that
How would you know that men can be women if you don't know what a woman is?
I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
How do you know that men can be women if you don't know what a woman is?
Say that one more time.
How do you know that men can be women if you don't know what a woman is?
Okay. So it's not necessarily that I don't know, it's just that I don't have a definitive description, right? Like
Yeah, so like
a man can be a woman depending on the definition that you use. I'm just not sure which definition I align with, like,
But
totally.
yeah, so based on what you're saying, it seems like you're a little bit unsure of what a woman is. So how could you know that men can be women if you're not even sure what a woman is?
Because it just depends on how you define a woman.
Yeah,
like
but
if you
it seems
if
like you don't know how to
define-
define a woman.
Yes.
So how can you know that men can be women if you can't define what a woman is?
Because like I'm saying that I'm not sure what definition I would use in my day-to-day, like 100% of the time. Like this is like if someone asked me what a woman is, I'm not sure exactly how I would describe it, right? But my point is that you can use a definition, and a lot of people do use definitions that describe a woman as not just the gender assigned at birth. So I think this is an issue that a lot of people run into, where some people are like, men can't be women, the other side's like, men can be women, and what they're
Isn't
really
that a contradiction,
arguing,
though?
what they're
If
really
you say
arguing,
men can be women, that's a contradiction, right?
it
Because
depends
men are not women.
It depends on your definition. My point is that like these two different sides can have these statements and completely believe in them, but really it's just a contradiction in their definitions of the terms.
Right, but again, like, if we agree that that tree is green back there, and somebody says the tree is pink, but what they mean by pink is green, right, we would just say that's just stupid, yeah? Like, if your definition of the word pink is literally the word green, and you say that tree is pink, it's almost like you're doing it intentionally to confuse people. Why are we doing this?
I don't think that's a good analogy.
Because it seems like when people say I'm a woman, what they actually mean is I'm not a woman, I'm something else, but I'm calling it a woman.
Not in my experience.
So you think that a woman, like that woman right there, is the same as David if he says he's a woman? They're the same thing. They're both women.
I do not.
Okay, so then if you say men can be women, you're not actually saying men can be women. You're saying that men can be women, but when you say women, you mean something else, right? Because if David and her cannot be the same, if David identifies as a woman, then you're not saying David can be a woman. You're saying David can be something else, kind of like a woman, right?
Like a black penguin?
I'm not sure what you mean by black penguin.
But yeah,
But
it's a whole different argument.
okay, so
What just happened? What just happened?
someone stole the sign. They are running.
Somebody stole the sign. Oh shit! Wait, hold up. Why'd you steal the sign? Can you move
Hey,
your
y'all,
out of your face?
welcome
Are you a
to the
student here?
show.
Are you a student here?
We are temporarily
student here?
being disrupted by a stolen.
You won't be for long. You won't be a student for long.
Why did you do that?
Can we just know why you did it and then tried to steal another student's phone? It wasn't on your face.
The sign is
Why
back.
did you steal our sign?
We just like to get a video and a picture of them.
Video of that.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Please, yes, we'd love that.
They can't talk to us because they're too scared, and then they just ruin our shit. I didn't even see her grab that. Really go for it.
I really don't know why that person chose to steal our sign knowing that they couldn't run more than 10 feet.
Send him to PE class.
Had the body mount. I'm not even, never mind. I'm trying to be a Christian.
I would like to
Be a good boy.
resume our conversation.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that I don't believe that David would be the same as a woman who is assigned that gender at birth simply by identifying as a woman. That's just my interpretation.
Can you say again?
So you mentioned that David identifying as a woman wouldn't make him the same as another woman.
Yes.
And that's just because I believe that because of my own definition.
Right. So in that case, we're not saying that David could be a woman. We're saying that David could be something else resembling a woman, not a woman. Because if he's not the same as a woman, then he's not a woman, right?
In this analogy, all David is doing is identifying as a woman.
And I'd say all he's doing is pretending to be a woman. Because he's not actually a woman. Like, if I identify as an Apache attack helicopter, I'm not an Apache attack helicopter, right?
Yes.
I'm a man. I'm a human, not a helicopter. If I said I'm a lizard, am I a lizard?
I do not think so.
Okay, if I say I'm a black man, am I a black man?
I do not think so.
Okay, so if somebody says that they're a woman, I don't think that makes them a woman. And I think that all of these things are pieces of your identity, your species, your race, your sexuality, your gender, right? Your sex. These are all aspects or portions of your identity. And I don't think that any one of them can be more changeable than the other. I think you're either white or black. You're either gay or not. You're either a man or a woman. Or, you know, with some of them, you can be other things like Asian or whatever. I don't think you can just change your biology on the flip of a dime and change what you are. It's not who you are, to what you are. Maybe you are, who you are is somebody who pretends to be a woman. But what you are is a man.
So, again, I think this goes back to definitions. I'm sure there are people who believe that identifying as a woman makes you a woman. I'm sure there are other definitions that imply that you have to go through gender reassignment surgeries or do something to present yourself as a woman. And there's also definitions that align with it has to be equivalent to your sex. My point is that there are different ways to define it. There are different ways to look at it. And you're free to have your own definition and view other definitions as incorrect or silly or whatever you might want to think.
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
here
just
doing.
That
I'm just
there
making
are
my case.
differences.
I'm just
Okay.
making my case. You can have whatever definition you want, but like I would just say that all of those definitions are silly. Like, for example, would you say that this is a lizard?
I would not.
He's presenting himself as a lizard. Look at it. He has a forked tongue. He has scales tattooed on him, right?
That's true.
He's presenting himself as a lizard, but that doesn't make him a lizard. He's still just a guy pretending to be a
My
lizard.
point is that if you define a lizard as something that identifies as a lizard, then you could view that
But
as
that's
a
not
lizard.
a definition because we still
It
don't
could
know
be.
what a lizard is. If you use the word in the definition of the word, we still don't know what the word actually means.
Okay, then if we define a lizard as something or someone who defines themselves as some reptile, insert definition of lizard, like a more
But that's what a
biological.
lizard is. It's just a reptile thing. So you'd say,
Okay,
not
my
somebody who
point
identifies
is-
as a scaly thing
My
that's like a lizard,
point
right?
is that you could define it as something that identifies as it.
Do you not feel
I don't
like
think so.
you're going through a lot of like hula hoops? Like it's some serious mental gymnastics in order to just say men cannot be women, right? Like we're playing this game of, well, it's your definition, my definition, it's your truth, my truth. We shouldn't have to engage in something so silly like that, right? I mean, I don't want to just, that's a guy right there. I should be able to say, yep, that looks like a biological male. I may not know if it's biological male, but if he started to walk around and say that he identifies as a woman and I have to pretend in his game that he's a woman, I'm not going to do that.
Look, we can do this easy. Like I can just see like man, woman, right? So you need to change. Okay, we got to change batteries real quick.
Can you give me those ones down there?
Which one are you charging?
I'm like 50-50 on this deporting illegals. I think it's very well to deport people that are, one, illegal and also committing crime. I don't think there's any room for people in America to be, one, illegally here, and then two, abusing the ability to be here and not, working towards making a family or making a better living for themselves. But the one thing I will have to say about the whole thing that's going on with deporting is the absolutely not so great effects it's having on economy for this country.
Yeah,
I think it's good to want this out of the country.
make sure you talk real close.
I think it's good to want this out of the country, but I don't think it's good at the same time because we are destroying the economy in the short term at least. The long term it may be beneficial and that's fine, but right now it's shitty and that's what I don't agree with. So,
Yeah, I would disagree with your
50-50.
assessment. So I would say that just because something has a negative effect on the economy doesn't mean we couldn't do it. Like, for example, when we abolished slavery, it totally devastated the economy of the South. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
We literally, the North had to reconstruct the South post-Civil War, which was driven by slavery and after the abolition of slavery. And so despite that fact, we still should have done it. And effectively what we have in this situation is slavery. You have people that are either slaves to farmers, slaves to the cartel, or slaves to both, usually both. And so it's not compassionate. And I think that we should get rid of it, not only because it's a net fiscal drain in the U.S. economy, not only because it's national security risk, not only because of the crime associated, right?
Right.
But also because you don't leave your front door open. And
Right.
so we need to solve that problem.
I agree with that.
No matter the cost.
So you'd say you're okay with, I guess, the drawbacks economically for probably the next, I don't know, 5-ish years maybe. And
Yeah.
And if he wants all immigrants gone, I mean that's a large percentage. That's a large percentage of the workforce that's just gonna be completely stripped from the economy. Which
Yeah. People being paid like 2 cents an hour, totally. I think we should eliminate that from the workforce. I think that we really get on China about how they put people in sweatshops and basically use slave labor, right? We can't throw stones in a glass house, and we need to fix our problems too, and we're doing it right here.
Right.
And it's a problem.
okay.
And also, the farmers need to be in jail as well, right? Like, or at least face some consequences for employing illegal immigrants.
So do you think it'd have like a more negative impact taking that many workers out of the workforce? Do you think it would have a negative impact taking that many workers out of the workforce?
Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Do you think it would have like a big negative impact, or I'm not sure if you think there will be when you take that many workers out of the workforce?
Yeah, you'll have a short-term negative impact. But I also think there are a lot of Americans that will fill those jobs. There are millions of Americans who drop out of high school every year without a high school degree that are looking for these low-skill jobs. But oftentimes they don't get them because if Lance is looking for a job and he doesn't have a high school diploma, he really doesn't. I'm just kidding, right? So Lance is looking for a job, doesn't have a high school diploma. Why would the farmer hire Lance
Yeah.
when they could hire 100 wands, right? Why would they do that, right? For the same price? Oh, dude, if it was legal, I'd get rid of Lance right now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You know,
But you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
It's obviously like cheaper labor. You're going to choose the cheaper labor over not only that, but like
Cheaper
if Lance
labor-
gets hurt, I have to pay. If I was to hire him, I'd have to pay workers' comp, and I'd have to give him insurance and benefits. I don't have to do that for illegal immigrants. They're just happy with like 5 cents an hour, and sending 2 back to their family in Mexico.
yeah.
I mean, I lived in Texas my entire life, so it's a little different, and I've been around illegal immigration all the time. So when I got out of high school, I wanted to work somewhere, so I went to Chick-fil-A. So everybody in the front was an American. Everybody cooking in the back couldn't speak a lick of English whatsoever.
Usually how it is in the service industry.
Yeah. So they're getting paid in cash. Obviously, they're illegal. So I want people who are just coming out of high school to work these low-wage jobs like Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby, freaking Walmart. But it's really, really hard for Americans to get a job if all these illegals are taking these jobs away from these college or gonna be college kids that want to save up for college. And I think it's super like disrespectful for America to not protect its own citizens and the right to work. You should work, but and it's just ridiculous because like nowadays you go to Walmart.com, you put your resume in, and you don't get a response for like 2-3 months, and by that time you probably already found something else. And I feel like the American kids that are coming out of high school or even in high school should have those jobs, not illegals.
Yep. Personally, yeah. I mean, I have to agree with that. I guess the concept of the volume of workers that we're taking out and also the circulation of the dollar, essentially, there's no other way to look at it, in my opinion, other than it's going to be harmful. Like I said, I'm going to stand where I agree with taking illegals that are committing crimes out of the country.
So they've all committed crimes.
No.
U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by alien, or the law that violates overstaying a visa. They've all committed a crime.
Right.
All of them. 100%.
In that sense, yes. I guess in my sense, I'm talking violent crime. I'm talking multiple felonies once you're in the country. If someone comes illegally and they have, I guess, goodwill and they want to, make a family, and
I don't think you can come to this country illegally with goodwill. If your first action entering this country was blatantly disregarding and disrespecting the laws of this country and spitting in the face of every legal immigrant like David, I don't think that you've come to this country with good intentions. I think you've come with bad intentions, and you should be gotten rid of.
Right. No, it's definitely not okay to come illegally, but I think it's a battle between what's good for yourself and your family versus
I totally get it.
the U.S.'s laws. They don't care. They'd rather do what's best for themselves.
I totally get it. And if I was living in a bad situation, I had children, I'd probably do the same thing. But that doesn't absolve me of the consequences of what I've done, and the consequences are that I get deported, right? So if you say, well, if you're just a good law-abiding illegal immigrant who's violated the laws of this country, you're good to go. That sends a giant bat signal to everybody in South America. Yep, come on in, right? You won't be punished as long as you're a good citizen or a good person, right? It doesn't make any sense because they're not citizens and they came here illegally.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, they didn't just break the law once. Every single minute, every single day, they're continuously breaking that law by staying here in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's not just, they broke it once. They're continually breaking that law until they are deported or they leave on their own accord.
Okay. So I guess what I'm hearing is no matter the, I guess, economic drawbacks or the drawbacks in the country's future.
Yeah. We've already stated, yes, it's all right, if the economy, gets worse for a little bit. But we need to protect Americans and American jobs first and foremost.
Right.
Because, you're an American. I'm an American. The American government should have our best interests at heart instead of people that are not from here.
Right. I guess going off that statement, do you agree with a lot of foreign affairs going on?
Well, we're not gonna, I know where this is going. We're not going to get into this room.
Let's not go there exactly, but in general, we'll say in general.
But there's no general on foreign affairs.
In general, are you happy with foreign affairs in this country and how we're handling?
Every foreign affair is a completely separate issue. So depending on what you're talking about, and in terms of,
I guess as a whole, are you happy with it as a whole?
Right now, I am.
Okay. Do you think the government's doing the best that they can to do things that are in the benefit of our country?
I think the government can always improve in doing what's best for Americans. Okay. But right now, I think they're doing a fairly good job.
Hello.
What's up? Hi, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing, David?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I was here just for the statement that you have right here of deport all illegals now.
Sure.
And so my only thing is I wanna better understand what you classify by deport all illegals, because to my understanding, a lot of the groups that are being currently under investigation are people who are being taken out, primarily Hispanic people, obviously, because you're saying to deport illegal immigrants, and the majority of illegal immigrants are Mexican. My question to you is, when you're considering, your consideration of like deport all illegals, this does negatively impact people who are legal immigrants who are Hispanic.
Why would it?
No, it doesn't. If you don't, hold on, we're going to let him change the battery. So it does not negatively impact Hispanic people who are legal immigrants, because in order to be deported or in order to be detained by border enforcement, they have to have probable cause that you are an illegal immigrant, and it is illegal for that probable cause to be your skin's brown and you speak with a Spanish accent. Okay. I would define an illegal immigrant as just simply anybody who is in this country illegally, without permission of the U.S. government, anybody who's violated 8 U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by alien, or anyone who has overstayed a visa. Anyone who is not here legally is an illegal immigrant and should be deported.
So people who are here under a green card or a green visa, you don't believe that they should be...
Nope.
Yes.
They legally immigrated to this country. I don't believe they should be deported unless they violate the terms of their agreement. Like, for example, we had a very famous one recently, Mahmoud Khalil, who was literally distributing material support for a foreign designated terrorist organization. He was distributing the Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, Our Narrative, which comes directly from the Hamas Media Office, and it says it right on the pamphlet. He was distributing that. That's illegal for David and I to do. It's illegal for a U.S. citizen to distribute material support for a designated terrorist organization, but it's also against the terms of your visa or green card agreement just to endorse a foreign designated terrorist organization. So you should be deported for that.
I agree with that as well. And I just want to say that, like, where I'm from California, and so I am surrounded by a lot of people who are legal immigrants as well as people who are on work visas. I worked all summer with people who were here under work visas, and they are still there's still that stigma and that fear from this policy of deporting illegal immigrants, where they are taking people. There are people that I know that have been illegally detained by ICE agents and by Border Patrol enforcement, and have been questioned and brought into questioning, and then released days later, left outside of detention centers where they were not found guilty, so ICE just left them outside of the detention centers. I think that does negatively impact the Hispanic population in America.
Yeah, well, I'd be interested to see these specific cases and what happened. I'm also from California. I live in Los Angeles, or I used to live in Los Angeles, right?
Same.
So I'd be interested to see, were these people detained and questioned by ICE authorities because they thought they were illegal, or is it because they were throwing bricks through the windows of the ICE facility? Because as you and I both know, that's something that happens downtown in Los Angeles, right outside of City Hall,
Absolutely.
where the VA clinic is and the federal building is. Right, it happens every night there in Los Angeles, and I was there for the worst of it, and it's a problem, and those people should be detained. So are they detained on suspicion of being an illegal immigrant falsely, or are they detained because they were committing a crime against federal authorities? I think that would be interesting. And furthermore, I'd also like to say, I'm going to give the mic to David now, because David is a legal immigrant. He came here legally.
Absolutely.
Hi, I came legally, and I hate illegal immigrants.
All right.
No, but seriously, right? If you think about it, my parents worked really hard to win their visa. It was a green card lottery. And unfortunately, where we lived, some people stole their visa. So they had a decision. They could come to the United States illegally, apparently, like how some people do, or they can still follow the law. And that's why, for me, it's hard to find any room to feel sad for somebody that came into the country illegally, even if they tell me the most crazy asylum case in the world.
Right.
And that point, my question is, why didn't you do it legally? Right?
Well, then we look at that process and we see the process to become a legal immigrant into the United States, and it has gotten increasingly harder over the past couple decades to get your visa. There are processes that have been stalled and halted even at the border or before the border process even starts. There have been processes that have been halted throughout the past 2 decades where that has been brought into question, where people have asked that question, why aren't people just coming in legally? Because it's harder to do so. Not because of just the amount of people that are trying to come in.
I disagree that it's harder to do so, because maybe you can explain to me what do you mean by it's harder to do so? You said progressively over the years you've seen it get harder to come into this country. What do you mean?
So I know for a couple of my friends who are here under visas, one of my friends, it's a family member of his that is coming here from a different country, not Mexico, but they're coming from a different country, and they were here under a green card for 6 months, and then when that expired, they were told to go back to their country that they were from, the Philippines. And so when they did, there was still an instance where they tried again to get another green card and then establish citizenship. And the process was halted for 6 months, where they were not given any information from the U.S. to where they were stationed in the Philippines. And it turns out that it was just lack of like connection and coercion within that, like,
You said it was lack of what?
lack of correction. Sorry, like lack of like enforcement within the agency that distributes visas, and like I forgot what it's called off the top of my head.
Department.
The State Department, yes.
Visa.
And there was like a lack of like basically any sort of direction to get like information out to that person to get into the U.S. legally.
So it's harder for him to find information of how to apply to come to the United States legally again?
It was hard to get in contact and like to get back and forth contact with them.
Okay, that's not making the process hard, right? I mean, it takes a couple calls to phone somebody overseas, whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
That it's not limiting the amount of visas. It's not, you can't get a visa because you're from this country anymore. Although I agree with such reform, I think that we are overdue with such reform. But a perfect example of this, my friend just came to the United States. He not just came, but 3 years ago. He came here as a permanent resident. It took him 2 years to get a permanent residency from the country that he came from. He came to the country, and now he's in the process of acquiring his citizenship. I came to the country. I was 9 years old. My parents became citizens when I was 15, and there you go. Now I'm a citizen as well.
And there you are. But yeah, okay. And I do agree in some of those things that you say.
Sorry to cut you off, but if it's a real thing. If people want to come to the United States legally, the majority of the time they're able to do so. But just because you want to come to the country for a better life, that's not a reason why.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that people who are escaping like systems or countries where there is like political war or like certain things happening like in other countries that are not America, where there's stuff happening in these countries that are bad, and they want to flee to another country, and yes, they do most of the time, the majority of the time, to stay is seek asylum, but also
I'll ask you this: legitimate asylum seekers, do you know where the majority of them seek asylum? Let's say you're living in Venezuela and you want to seek asylum from the Maduro regime. Where do you go? Where do 90% of people go?
like what country or like well, like okay, I would say the United States.
No, it's a neighboring country, and you can apply that to every single situation, right? And let's think about this: if your life is under complete threat, you're not gonna illegally cross the border of the United States. Nonetheless, you're not gonna take thousands of dollars that you don't have to make a crazy journey to the southern border. And then again, let's think about how stupid it is. You have a legitimate asylum case, and you cross the border illegally just to make it harder for you. 90% of legitimate asylum seekers don't go and make this crazy trip across half the world or through the Darien Gap, right? They go to their neighboring country because it's asylum. They have a legit, like they're worried for their life, right?
Yeah, and so would you say that people who come from Mexico, a certain majority of people that come from Mexico, there is a still like very high percentage of people that are trying to get away from whatever politics or whatever instances are happening?
I don't doubt that they may face political violence, that there's gang violence that they're running away from, but that sounds like a legitimate asylum case for me, which you can adjudicate through the port of entry rather than violate 8 U.S. Code 1325 and then take advantage of a loophole that we have in the United States that allows you to seek asylum when you're in the U.S. already. You know why people use that loophole?
I would like to know,
Because they don't have a legitimate asylum case.
True.
And then when they're in the country already, they get a slip that says come back to the judge and see them in a couple months. But they get flown to like Denver, Portland, Chicago, wherever it is, where it's a sanctuary city. So they'll never actually go and face a judge because nobody's going to come extradite them from there.
And then just to I agree with most of what you've said, as well as to cycle to what you spoke about with the guy that was the 5-minute guy, when he was speaking, when you spoke about how they take more out of the economy than what they give back in. Illegal immigrants and people who are here under work visas give around, I think it was $97 billion last year in 2022.
Yeah, they do pay taxes, and that's true. But the fact of the matter is that according to the House Committee on Budget, the net fiscal drain of of an illegal immigrant on the U.S. economy is $68,000 per person. The equation for that is just taxes paid minus social welfare used. So while they do pay taxes in a lot of cases, they also use social welfare programs, and it happens that they use the social welfare programs to a higher extent than they pay taxes, which means they're a drain on the system.
Would that equation be hard to compute if you do not know the number of illegal immigrants? So you can't really say if it's greater or less than the amount of taxes that they're paying? Or are you looking at it more from a mathematical standpoint?
Well, right, but illegal immigrants who pay taxes, how do they do it?
they work hard. They
They
earn
have to
income,
file
they pay
some way.
taxes.
They have to file with the U.S. government. So the U.S. government is going to be aware that an illegal immigrant has filed taxes. Most of the time, if it's with like a stolen social security number of a dead person, or like under the Biden administration, they were giving people ITINs, so they knew that they were paying taxes. And so you know how much taxes they're paying in a general sense, and you can use existing data. So if you think you have the data for, let's say, 10 illegal immigrants, and there are 100 in the country, you can probably take an estimate based on how much taxes those 10 are paying and try to apply it, or let's say you have 50 and there's 100. You can make a projection based on the amount of taxes the existing ones that you know about are paying. And then you can do the same for social welfare. But with social welfare, it's even more explicit because you actually have to physically give the person something.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So you know you're giving them the social welfare. So you use that equation. You try to do your best to determine accurately how much they're paying in taxes, and then determine also how much they're using in social welfare based on how much the government has given them. And so the net fiscal drain, the net fiscal drain that an illegal immigrant has per person on the U.S. economy, according to the House Committee on Budget, in their study with the Center for Immigration Studies, is $68,000 per person.
All right.
$180 billion a year, and you said we get back about $90 billion
In
in
2022,
taxes?
we got $97 billion in
Exactly.
taxes, and I think in 2023 it was 100 and
We spend a lot. We spend a lot more on illegal immigrants than we
Sure.
get back from them.
okay. Sure. Okay. Thank you so much for speaking
you
with
so
me.
much.
I
Of course, thank you for coming up. We really appreciate it.
thank you so
Have
much.
a good one. Be safe. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? So I'm just really grateful to see more of you
Yeah,
guys here.
thank you. Appreciate it.
I saw somebody else who had some pretty wild takes up there in the plaza last week, but yeah, that's a different story. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something that happened before what happened to Charlie Kirk, which I think is kind of a graver issue, to be honest. It's because you've heard about what happened in Colorado, was it? Or,
School shooting?
Yeah, the school shooting. Yeah, I'm somebody that went to a private Catholic school in middle school, and yeah, it's just the thought of that happening to me or any of my friends hurt me really deeply, and the rest of my family. So I just wanted to ask, do you guys think that there's anything we could have done to prevent that? Or
Is this the one
any
where
way
it was
to-
a transgender shooter?
Yeah, it's just, but nothing about transgenders, just school shooters in general. Is there any kind of like legislation that we could put in to ensure the safety of the minors?
Well, we've got to change the culture. The number one way is to change the culture and get it out of people's heads that when you're mad, you take it out on children in school. The other thing is like mental health needs to be fixed up. And part of that is not teaching transgender people who are mentally ill. They always say they're not mentally ill, right? Okay, well, they kill themselves constantly, and that's your primary argument. Obviously, they're mentally ill. Mentally stable people don't kill themselves. So how about we start by not teaching mentally ill people that their mental illness is correct? If somebody was bulimic or anorexic, and I was a doctor, I wouldn't give them a dietary plan and tell them to lose weight because they're fat.
But the problem is, there's no way the school could have introduced any of those ideas to the shooter.
The government has to introduce those.
That's
those
exactly
solutions.
my point. The government needs to do something.
Or
but
cultural
what
leaders
is
as
it?
well. Number one thing is you got to change the culture.
Yeah, that's true about the culture.
Reject it, right? Because at the end of the day, the reason why we're talking about transgender shooters is because when they go to the schools and they shoot up Catholic schools, they're doing that for a reason. They're targeting Catholic schools for a reason. They are under the impression that Catholics or religious groups are suppressing their ability to exist in America. So the reason why I said reject, because it all comes down to what the media is telling them, what congressional leaders are telling them at the end of the day. If they're affirming their belief that Catholics, Christians, Americans, conservatives are the one that are oppressing their life in America, eventually somebody that is mentally ill is going to do something about that. And unfortunately, we see that happening more and more every time, or by the day. So that's why I say reject. Every chance that you have to reject. Government, I agree with you, there needs to be a solution for this, but we can start off by rejecting all of this.
Do you have any ideas for the government, though?
Mine's a little... Go ahead. Put doctors who give... doctors who give gender affirming care to people.
What about the
They lose their
school?
medical licenses. Number one, first of all.
Because there is one fiscal policy the left keeps bringing it up that they think could end all of this. Can you guess what it is? gun control.
Oh yeah. No, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah,
of course.
but I heard there was also a counter argument to that from the our side, the right
Yeah,
side.
there is a counter argument to that. It's that the only thing they want to ban is rifles. You don't ever hear them talking about banning anything else, even though the primary weapon for a mass shooting is a handgun. And furthermore, rifles are the smallest category of homicides that exists. Look at Table 8 of the FBI's Universal Crime Reporting Database. Rifles account for the least homicide of any weapon. Okay, you're more likely to be kicked to death. You're more likely to be hit with a blunt object and killed. You're more likely to be stabbed to death by 4 times over. You're more likely to be stabbed, right? So why would our solution to gun violence be, oh, well, let's ban the least common weapon used to kill people? And furthermore, that's all rifles, including bolt action single fire hunting rifles, right? That number, that homicide figure, I think it's like 230 per year. It includes single fire bolt action hunting rifles, which would mean that AR-15s are an even smaller share of that number, right? In some years, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to be shot and killed by a rifle,
yeah.
especially in
I
AR-15s.
know the media loves to lie about ARs. I know about all that, but
Yeah.
but when you look at Europe, though, it's just they don't have any kind of gun laws at all because they're not allowed anywhere.
Yeah, you're just doing a lot of stuff like
It's just,
this.
So, what exactly is? Do you think that could work for us the same way it worked for them?
No. Well, first of all, if the United States government comes and tries to take our guns, I guarantee you, and I'm not even calling for this, I'm just stating it as a fact. Every rifle collector, every gun collector who comes to people's houses and tries to take their guns is going to either be staring down the barrel of the thing they're coming to take, or they're going to be killed. Guarantee it. Right? If they try to take the guns by force, I guarantee it'll start a civil war. There is no chance in hell that you ban firearms blanketly in this country without a civil war that will undoubtedly be won by the people. Because I guarantee you the military, right? First of all, you try to ban guns, the military is not going to be down with that.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to, and their oath is sworn to the Constitution of the United States. Immediately they're going to side with the people and take the government down.
And you still don't really solve the problem, because at the end of the day, the person who was going to go commit that action is still there. So just because a gun isn't available for them to obtain legally doesn't mean that they're going to stop wanting to.
Illegally,
Exactly.
Contraband, yeah.
So I
don't
think
know
the
about
question
that.
you were asking, which I have a hard time answering myself always, is what can the schools do? What measures can the schools do to
That's
prevent
what
this
I wanted to get
individuals from
to.
happening?
Do you guys?
Yeah, I have a really good solution. So there are however many doors inside the school that you want, but all of them only open from the inside. There is one entrance. At that entrance, there is a metal detector that everybody has to walk through. Or now they even have these machines. I see them a lot at events where it detects specifically guns. It's not a metal detector, right? So it's not going to go off because of your keys. It's specifically looking for firearms. And it's some like really advanced, I don't know what it is, right? So you put one of those at the doorway to every school and you're safe, right? You can no longer enter the building with a gun. If you do enter the building with a gun, the entire building goes into lockdown.
You don't think there could be some backlash, though, getting the authorities involved with?
I'm sure there'll be backlash, but doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. There was backlash to abolishing slavery.
Right.
All I'm going to say is
That's
that
a good point.
I shouldn't be able. I remember when I was in high school 10 years ago, and I was able to leave lunch through one door and then come back through that exact same door. And every single door in that building was exactly the same way. So if that is happening systemically across America, that is probably a good place that the schools can start at to prevent some of the horrible things like that happening. It's just common sense at the end of the day. What I was meant by struggling with it, and maybe Cam can kind of answer this to both of us, is sometimes we hear the solution is armed teachers. There are armed police officers that are at the school already, right? But what about armed teachers? I don't know. Is that a solution?
Yeah,
I think that's a bit drastic.
I think you know, I kind of support it, but at the same time, it's like I don't want guns
It shouldn't
in the
be
reach
a
of the children.
requirement, though, right?
I see a solution for this. I wrote a paper on it in high school.
Yo, take it.
Want me to
Take it.
explain it real quick? So my solution in high school, I had to write a paper in my English class, and my English teacher had communist flags around the room and all that kind of crap. So I wrote a paper on it, how to improve the school. What I said is there's lock boxes in every single trained teacher's classroom that are completely locked. The teacher can't even get to them or anything. And then, if there's an actual shooting emergency, the principal has a thumbprint in his office, boop, unlocks all of the guns in an emergency. So in the regular, everyday life, there's no access to the guns whatsoever, but only trained teachers have these lockboxes, and then the principal goes, boop, opens up the lockboxes, and they have access to the guns during an actual emergency or school shooting.
What if I steal his thumb?
Well, I mean, that'd be pretty hard but, maybe eyes print, face print, or something, but yeah, that was my...
So, y'all said that you think that this government is doing the best it can for the American people, right?
Yep.
What is there anything that you personally would improve or change?
Yeah, actually, I can think of a couple right off the top of my head.
Like what?
Number one, National Guard in Portland, in Seattle, probably Berkeley and Los Angeles as well, until the issue is solved.
Okay.
Portland, there's been an occupation outside of the Portland ICE facility for the past 100 days. They're throwing bricks at federal agents. They're attacking journalists. I think that's something that needs to be done better. We need to take care of that problem. It cannot stand in this country. You cannot enact political violence against people, even if you're in the most remote parts of the Pacific Northwest, where nobody's got eyes on you. You can't attack people in the streets. Portland Police Department does nothing about it, and the feds can't take care of the issue themselves because they're understaffed. So that's one major issue. Antifa has been designated a foreign designated terrorist organization. Now that that's happened, they need to start arresting people. I find it very unlikely that they're going to arrest people, but they need to start arresting people. It needs to happen immediately. So once we start putting those people behind bars for federal crimes, because they're now a foreign designated, or sorry, not a foreign designated terrorist organization, just a designated terrorist organization, my bad, then we can solve that problem.